this point.
Can you please clarify, like organizations?
Any domestic terrorist organization that poses a threat to the homeland as we speak.
I'd say the first one, President Trump had just announced executive order domestic terrorist organization, Antifa. That's our primary concern right now.
All right, that's what President Trump did. What does the FBI say?
We share the same view. When you look at the data right now, you look at the domestic terrorist threat that we're facing. Right now, what I see from my position is that's the most immediate violent threat that we're facing on the domestic side.
So where is Antifa headquartered?
What we're doing right now with the organization.
Where in the United States does Antifa exist?
Yeah.
If it's a terrorist organization, and you've identified it as number one.
We are building out the infrastructure right now.
So what does that mean? We're trying to get the information. You say Antifa is a terrorist organization. Tell us as a committee, how did you come to that? Where do they exist? How many members do they have in the United States as of right now?
Well, that's very fluid. It's ongoing for us to understand that. The same, no different than Al-Qaeda and ISIS.
No, I don't want you. I'll ask one question, sir. I just want you to tell us. If you said Antifa is the number one domestic terrorist organization operating in the United States, I just need to know where they are, how many people. I don't want a name. I don't want anything like that. Just how many people have you identified with the FBI that Antifa is made of?
Well, the investigations are active.
So you wouldn't come to this committee and say something you can't prove, I know. I know you wouldn't do that. But you did. Madam Secretary, you and the gentleman from NCTC reference the unfortunate accident that occurred with the National Guardsman being killed.
You think that was an unfortunate accident?
I mean,
It was a terrorist attack.
Wait. Look, I'll get it straight. Then you can
He shot our National Guardsman in the head.
Look, Mr. Chairman, will you direct the witness to allow me to ask my question? It was an unfortunate situation, but you blamed it solely on Joe Biden. I want you to know who approved the asylum application for this same person.
Mr. Thompson, this individual that came into the country.
No, I want to know who approved.
Congressman Thompson, I want you to understand when this individual came into the country, he came under evacuation of Afghanistan under Operation Allies Welcome, was thoroughly vetted by the Biden administration at that point in time, allowed into our country, and then was never followed up. I want to remind everybody in Congress.
Reclaim my time.
We follow the law. And every asylum is supposed to have a check-in every single year, and the Biden administration failed to do that. They vetted this individual, allowed them into our country, and did not do due diligence.
Witness will allow the gentleman to ask his question.
Yes or no? Who approved the asylum claim?
The application on the asylum was thoroughly filled out by information that was gathered by the Biden administration.
So the Biden administration approved the asylum.
The asylum application was put into place under the rules established by the Biden administration.
Reclaiming my time. I don't want to file perjury charges against you, but I'm of the opinion that the Trump administration, DHS, your DHS, approved the asylum application.
The asylum application moved forward under all of the information and vetting processes that were put in place under the Biden administration, which is when vetting happened. And that's what President Trump has changed. Under President Trump's administration.
Reclaim my time again.
When
it's obvious you don't want to answer the question. Mr. Kent, do you want a shot at it?
The individual was vetted to serve as a soldier in Afghanistan, and that vetting standard was used by the Biden administration as a ruse to bring him here. Had we followed the standard operating procedures for special immigrant visas, that individual and none of the allies welcome people would have come to America. That's on Joe Biden.
Gentleman's time has expired.
That was the answer.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. That was a murder that took place in D.C. It was not an unfortunate incident. And those comments are effing disrespectful.
Who is that?
I expect better from the
It's not a valid point of order. I will now recognize the gentleman from Texas, the former chairman, Mr. McCall, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Secretary, great to see you. This hearing reminds me of the novel A Tale of Two Cities. They see it, the Dems see it as the worst of times, but I see it really as the best of times. And what do I mean by that? Under the Biden administration, 15 to 20 million illegal aliens, unvetted, as you indicated, came into this country. What I think most disturbing is Director Kent's testimony. 18,000 known or suspected terrorists got into this country under the Biden administration. That's why we impeached Mayorkas. I was one of the managers. He told his Border Patrol, you don't have to pay attention to federal law when it says shall detain aggravated felons. He disregarded federal law and says, you know what, may detain. It's discretionary. And guess what? We have thousands of aggravated felons now, or if not millions, in this country today. That was the worst of times. Let me go to the best of times. Most secure border I've seen in my 22 years in Congress. And I've dealt with this for a long time. Coming from Texas, being chairman of this committee, the daily crossings are 95% down from the prior administration. That's the best of times. Zero catch and release. My very first bill in Congress 22 years ago was to end catch and release. 22 years later, we finally have achieved that goal. That, Madam Secretary, is the best of times. An all-time record low. America is safer today. I feel so. And when I look at the Venezuelan vessels attacked, the president had every right under the Constitution, Article 2, international waters, cartels designated as FTOs, coming into our country to spread poison to kill Americans. If that's not self-defense, I don't know what it is. And then finally, Madam Secretary, thank you for taking out the shadow Iranian oil tankers headed from Venezuela to Cuba, getting around our sanctions that Congress passed. I'm finally seeing an administration flexing its muscle in this hemisphere, which has been neglected for so many years. So air, land, and sea is your charge. It's the military's charge as well. I see the land secure. I see the maritime borders getting more secure, and I applaud you for that. On the air secure piece, I chair the Special Events Task Force. That's FIFA, the Olympics, the 250th anniversary. Drones are the biggest threat as I see it. I see it in Ukraine in its conflict with Russia, and I see it across our border, and I see it at these events. If you could update me, and with the new NDA authorization to allow federal, state, and locals to work together to identify hostile adversary drones and take them down, can you tell me how that will impact your ability, Madam Secretary, to better secure these special events?
Yes, thank you, Congressman McCall, and thank you for your leadership. I understand you're retiring, and I'm sad about that. You've been a statesman. Thank you for serving with such dignity.
Thank you.
The counter-drone and drone technology that is out there today, frankly, our authorities haven't kept up with. And so thank you for that legislation. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to truly defend the homeland. Here at the Department of Homeland Security, we are going to be investing upwards to $1.5 billion into drone technology and counter-drone technology and mitigation measures that we can deploy not just across different NSC events or large-scale events that we're responsible for the security on, but also that we can use to partner with cities and states for celebrations and different things that they may hold as well. So we have the responsibility at the Department of Homeland Security for FIFA and the 11 cities that will be hosting the matches here in the United States, also the Olympics, the America 250 celebrations, also other national security events that happen, such as Mardi Gras and other events that are going on throughout the country. So this program that we will have will not only work within the events that the department is responsible for, but we will be able to sign agreements with states and cities to provide measures that they don't currently have. And we're working with the FAA as well to get what we need to be able to operate. And we don't want just to detect. We don't want to just monitor. We need to mitigate. We need to take these drones down. We need to.
If I could add, my time's going to expire. There is so much technology out there today, counter drone technology, that I've been working to get into Ukraine to protect them from Russian drones that we can deploy at these events. I'd love to visit with you on that at a later date. And thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank you.
Gentleman's time's expired. I now recognize the gentleman from California, Mr. Correa, for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I agree with my colleague from Texas. It is a tale of two cities. Secretary Noem, Trump administration, you're going after the worst of the worst criminals, and we agree with you. The problem is 70% of the people you've arrested have no criminal record. You're going after non-criminal immigrants, U.S. citizens, and permanent legal residents. Donna Hughes Brown, Irish citizen, green card holder, 48 years in the United States. She also happens to be the mother of a U.S. Marine, sister to a retired Army colonel. She's in ICE detention since July. She tried to come back from Ireland, arrested, has been there since then. Her crime? She wrote 2 bad checks for less than $80 a decade ago. You arrested her, she's in custody. Her husband, Jim Brown, came to us and told us her story. Jim told us, I voted for President Trump because he promised to go after criminals in our community and not people like my wife. If I can, I'd like to play a video for you. Bennie, you also voted for President Trump.
Yes, sir,
Why did you vote for him?
because I was an idiot. 80% of the evangelical Christian people were lied to, if you really want to know the truth, and that's exactly what happened. They said criminal, and I believe criminals need to be off the street.
I just want to make sure people watching this understand who you are.
My wife and I, when we don't work, we're ministers. We help the needy. That's what we do. And that's who they're arresting.
Now, we've got Mr. Jim Brown before you. He's standing up. Hopefully you can talk to him a little bit. These people, Donna Hughes Brown, are not the individuals that should be deported. Another case, Narciso Barranco was beaten and arrested by masked agents while working as a landscaper. He's an undocumented immigrant, 30 years in this country, not a traffic ticket. Mr. Barranco is also the father of 3 U.S. Marines. 3 Marines. You want to make a movie of people like this. A man who comes to this country, instills patriotism in his kids. They swear an oath to serve and possibly give up their life for this country. We'll play a video on this as well, please.
Masked federal agents were filmed pinning a man to the ground and repeatedly striking him in the head and neck before putting him in an unmarked car. The man in the video has been identified as Narciso Barranco and is the father of 2 active duty Marines and 1 Marine veteran. The Department of Homeland Security said an illegal alien was arrested by Border Patrol agents after he, quote, assaulted federal law enforcement, adding that Barranco, quote, swung a weed whacker directly at an agent's face. Video shared by DHS and reviewed by CNN shows Barranco running with a weed whacker, but does not show him striking officers.
I also have with us today Alex Barranco behind you, a retired Marine. That's his father. And Alex, on behalf of myself, members here, I want to thank you for your service to our country, and we also thank your brothers for serving our great country. Thank you very much. Got another case. George Rete, 25-year-old native of California, my home state. He's a U.S. citizen, Army veteran who served in Iraq. Well, on his way to work, he came to an immigration checkpoint, pulled over. I don't know where officers deployed tear gas on him, broke his car window, pepper sprayed him, and dragged him out of his car. An American citizen held for 72 hours without any charges, wasn't even given the opportunity to shower, to wash off that paper
Gentleman's
spray.
time's expired. I now recognize the gentleman from Mississippi, Mr. Guest.
Mr. Chairman, I have 2 articles I'd like to present for the record.
Unanimous consent?
Under President Trump, an agency intended to keep Americans safe has diverted resources from child abuse, trafficking, and terrorism to immigration enforcement. Second is this letter from my Orange County Sheriff, Don Barnes, essentially talking about all the individuals under Prop 50 referred to ICE 2025 year to date. 50 of them.
Without objection.
ICE never showed up to pick them up.
Without
Mr.
objection.
Chairman?
I will
Mr. Chairman?
entertain,
Chairman?
I will entertain UCs at the end of the hearing. I want to entertain all UC motions at the end of the hearing. We have witnesses. I want to make sure everybody has time. So if we do this now, we do have a witness has to leave. You're just going to be taking time from other members. But I will entertain UC motions at the end of this hearing. I now recognize the gentleman from Mississippi, Mr. Guest, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Secretary, it's great to see you again. Thanks for appearing before us again. I want to echo some of the remarks of Mr. McCall. I want to first thank you. I want to thank the men and women who serve under your command for the incredible job that you have done over the last 12 months. We have seen that you are active in enforcing the rule of law. We have seen a border that is as secure in our lifetime as we have ever seen. You mentioned in your opening statement, over the last 4 years, we saw somewhere between 15 to 20 million illegal immigrants enter the country. Just looking at monthly statistical data, we know that under the Biden-Harris administration, that in December of 2024, that there were over 300,000 illegal immigrants who were encountered along the southern border in that month alone. Recent statistics by the Department of Homeland Security for October, the most recent statistics we have, show that the number of border encounters for October of this year under your leadership have dropped to 11,000, a decrease of over 95%. And so I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for the work that your men and women have done to protect our borders from illegal narcotics entering the country. We saw a press release the Coast Guard sent out this week regarding Operation Pacific Viper. And they mentioned a specific seizure that occurred on December the 2nd by the Coast Guard cutter Monroe, in which in a single incident of interdiction that the Coast Guard had the largest maritime interdiction seizure in almost 20 years, seizing 20,000 pounds of cocaine in an individual seizure. So I thank you for your aggressive actions in enforcing the law and for the incredible work that you and the men and women under your command are doing. I want to talk about, as we talk about threats, I want to talk about threats against law enforcement. Last week, this committee, we had a hearing. The hearing was entitled When Badges Become Targets. And during that hearing, we talked about the threats to law enforcement, specifically federal law enforcement. And even specifically within federal law enforcement, the threats toward ICE agents, the threats toward you and other members of leadership within DHS. We know that those threats and those incidents of physical attack have escalated dramatically, in some cases over 1,000%. And part of the driving force, I believe, behind those threats is what I refer to as rhetoric against law enforcement. And I brought this up last week, and I want to bring this up again with you and give you a chance to briefly address this. These are just roughly 10 of the statements that I was able to easily find online by elected officials, governors, mayors, in many cases members of Congress, where they were spewing what I believe to be very harmful statements toward law enforcement. Governor Pritzker claimed that ICE is grabbing people off the street and disappearing them, that our country is becoming Nazi Germany. Representative Crockett compared ICE to slave patrols. Representative Garcia referred to ICE as thugs. Representative Ramirez attacked ICE as a terror force, later a terrorist organization, and then later in the hearing said, let me be clear, the Department of Homeland Security, you can quote me on that, is the single biggest threat to public safety right now. Representative Tlaib said ICE is terrorizing our community, turning our country into a fascist police state. Representative Jayapal called ICE agents deranged and said it's inspiring to obstruct immigration enforcement. Governor Walz smeared ICE agents as modern-day Gestapo. Chicago Mayor Johnson accused ICE of being secret police and terrorizing our community. Representative Lynch referred to ICE agents as the Gestapo and nondescript thugs. And Representative Frost compared ICE operations to some of the worst horrors and crimes against humanity in history. And so, Secretary Noem, I'd like to give you a few moments to, one, address these statements, and to speak to how these statements place the safety of our men and women of law enforcement at risk.
Thank you, Congressman Guest. I appreciate you giving me the chance to talk about this, because I think the words that these elected officials have used to describe our law enforcement officers are horrific, shocking, and unacceptable. Every single American citizen should find the words that they have used to describe these men and women that took an oath to keep us safe unacceptable, and needs to be pointed out that we are seeing the consequences of those words every single day by the violent attacks. 1,000% increase in violent
time's
attacks,
expired.
8,000% in death threats.
Gentleman's
It's
time
unacceptable.
gentleman's time expired. I now recognize the gentleman from Michigan, Mr. Tanadar, for 5 minutes of questions. Please remember to stick to the 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman Garbarino and Ranking Member Thompson, for having this hearing today. I know the American people have been demanding answers from this administration on their unlawful actions, so I hope we are able to get some useful answers from our witnesses today. Secretary Noem, this past May, I asked you during a congressional hearing if it was the policy of DHS to follow orders issued by federal courts. You said on the record, and I'm quoting here, "We are following all federal orders." End of my quote, end of your quote. Secretary Noem, you lied to me under oath that day. You lied to the American people, and you have betrayed the trust placed upon you in your role as Secretary of Homeland Security. You defied federal court orders when you refused to order the deportation flights to El Salvador in March to turn around. Federal courts have also found your department to have violated federal injunctions in your continue to send non-citizens on deportation flights, with some courts having called your orders unlawful. Secretary Noem, I just have 3 questions for you. 1, why did you lie under oath by saying DHS was following all federal court orders when they clearly were not?
Congressman.
Question 2, let me finish my questions. Question 2, why did you mislead the American people when you said that no American citizens have been arrested or detained by federal immigration agents? And my last question, number 3, Donald Trump said that your ICE agents haven't gone far enough. Do you think terrorizing American citizens and assaulting peaceful protesters isn't far enough?
Congressman, the Department of Homeland Security and this administration complies with all federal court orders. We always have, and we always will.
Not true.
And we will continue to appeal. And sir, I will even tell you that at the highest court, at the Supreme Court, the Department of Homeland Security in our litigation has an over 90% success rate in winning at the highest court in our battle against activist judges across this country.
Madam
We have
Secretary,
activist judges that we will
the-
continue to appeal. And then when it gets to the highest court and we get a decision, it is proven that
I
we
wanna
are
reclaim
right,
my
and
time
that we
here.
have been compliant. I will also say, you
Ma-
talk
Madam-
about
Madam
deporting of
Secretary, let-
US
let
Do
me-
you want me to answer your questions or not?
I do, but let me, you haven't been telling us the truth. Look, there have been at least 170 known cases of citizens being arrested or detained by federal immigration agents this year alone. This is the truth. Are you lying to the American people right now by denying these reports.
When we are doing our targeted enforcement operations against criminal illegal aliens, individuals that are in that area may be detained until we verify who they are, and then they are released. This has been done for years, and every single law enforcement operation that has always happened, we follow the same protocols, and we continue to do that. We have never once detained or deported an American citizen. We have not held them
Not
and
true.
charged them. When we find out
Not
and
true.
verify their identity, then that is when they are released. You also asked about ICE agents going far enough. Sir, I will tell you that every single ICE agent, CBP agent, federal law enforcement officer that's out there doing their work every day, none of them will rest until our communities are safe. None of them will rest until
Secretary
terrorists,
Noem, it
criminals
is a fact that
off
you
of our
ignored federal
streets,
orders.
and our children and our grandchildren can grow
Let
up
me
in a country
reclaim my
that
time
truly
here,
is
please.
safe.
Let me reclaim. Secretary Noem, it is a fact that you ignored federal court orders in March and in May of this year. Do you plan on ignoring more federal orders?
We
I'm
always
sick, I'm
comply
sick
with all
of,
federal
sick
court
of your lies. And the American people demand the truth.
Because you keep saying it doesn't